Hey there, hunters, or trainers, I guess, now. I guess I should change that for every game, huh? I'm Femito. I typically play Monster Hunter games, but I'm actually feeling like I want to do something a little bit different. So I decided to climb the VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I wanted to document this climb as a pretty blind player, to be honest. I've always played Pokemon games, but I haven't really touched the competitive scene since X and Y. But even then, I only really played Little Cup, so it's a very niche format. So I'm basically going in this with zero doubles experience. And the only information I have about what's meta for Pokemon and what's usable is basically from what I've read in the Monster Hunter discords, which surprisingly has been a lot of help because the Monster Hunter people are really into Pokemon too, it seems. But I hope this series of videos gets more people interested in competitive Pokemon and shows that there's really nothing to be afraid of. And I know it can kind of be daunting, at least trying to learn how to play, because that's how I felt too. But you can learn to play it too, because let's face it, if I can do it, you can do it. And again, because I have zero experience with this, I'm going in fresh. And unless I actually end up failing, then don't listen to me. But anyway, with that intro out of the way, since this is the first segment of like this little documentation thing, I want to talk about the team I'm actually going to be using for the VGC format. I assume I'm going to be making changes as I climb up the ladder and figure out, what does and doesn't work for me. But when I was making my team, obviously I've heard about all the crazy stuff people are running with, Dondozo teams, Suicide Annihilate, Aura Guru Instruct, Female and DD Trick Room, Palafin, Snow, Trick Room, again, Sun, Murkrow, Torkoal, all that stuff. And I kind of ended up settling on a different Pokemon that I wanted to build the team around. And I kind of wanted to do something off meta, and that is Brambleghast. I know, right? Look at this little guy though, he's adorable. But I knew I wanted to play with one of the new Gen 9 Pokemon and just build around that. And I know Brambleghast doesn't really look impressive on paper. His base stats are pretty poor, HP, defense, and special defense are all pretty lacking, but it does have decent attack and speed stats. But what really caught my eye with Brambleghast is that his ability Wind Rider. And what this does is that if Brambleghast is in a Tailwind, it gets +1 attack automatically, which is great since I don't have to set it up on itself. It could just catch a Tailwind and it's automatic +1 at 115 base attack. That's pretty good. But on top of that, Brambleghast is also immune to wind moves, and if it's hit by a wind move, it instead gets another +1 attack. And wind moves that are relevant at least consist of Heat Wave, which is very common, which should be weak to, but it's not, Hurricane, which again should be weak to, and Blizzard, and Icy Wind. So yeah, it covers a lot of the spread moves that would actually be weak against and kill it, which makes them pretty reliable to swap in and get Snow teams, Torkoal and Trick Room teams, and the occasional Hurricane user like Pelipper or Volcarona. Brambleghast also has a pretty solid move pool, allowing him to run Power Whip, which just hits really hard, Bullet Seed for Sash Breaks, Shadow Sneak for a priority stab, Sap Strength for regen and lowering attack because there's a lot of physical attackers out there, and a variety of other utility moves like Spikes, Rapid Spin, and Pain Split. So yeah, I just kind of like this guy. He seems fun to build around, so that's what we're doing. Now, the setup I have from Brambleghast is honestly going to be changing a lot. I already changed it since I've started, but we're going to start with what I started with, and that is Brambleghast using Bullet Seed and Loaded Dice. Loaded Dice makes your multi-hit moves always hit 4 or 5 times, so I figured that, hey, on average, that's going to be about as good as Power Whip, and has better chances to score lucky crits, and it can break sashes, so I'll take it. To support the rest of this kit, I opted for Shadow Sneak for the priority stab, Sap Strength for utility regen, and Protect to scout moves. The EVs are just, hard full into speed and attack. I need to make sure it's as fast as possible because there are a lot of other opposing Tailwind teams out there, and I need it to outspeed other Mons in Tailwind. Obviously it can't all the time, but with Jolly, you can still outspeed most Mons, but against other Tailwind teams, you're going to have some competition with Garchomp, Dragapult, and other faster sweepers. But Terra Grass Brambleghast under Tailwind hits like a truck, and pretty much one-taps anything that doesn't resist Grass, which unfortunately is a lot of things since there are a ton of Dragons and Terra Steels running around, but I'm still going to be building around Brambleghast. Now to pair with Bramble, obviously I needed Tailwind, because his ability is built for Tailwind. And there's only one Pokemon for the job, and that is the infamous Murkrow. This guy is unironically the best Pokemon in my opinion. It can do everything your team needs for setting up. You got Prankster Tailwind, Haze to deal with Bozo, Taunt for utility mons, Snarl for spread sash breaks and crippling special attackers, Foul Play to actually deal damage when its attack stat is lackluster, Brave Bird, priority weather like sun and rain, Thunder Wave, literally everything. So I needed it for Tailwind for Brambleghast, and I'm going to be also just running this with a pretty generic setup with, Taunt, Haste, and Foul Play. And this way Murkrow can clear stat changes, which is a big deal and shuts down Bozo teams. Taunt is almost exclusively for Amoonguss and Breloom, so they can't Spore. And Foul Play, so I can do something in case it gets taunted or needs to break a Sash. I also opted to run this Murkrow with Evolite rather than Focus Sash, just so it's bulkier in general and can take more of a beating. And then I slammed HP and defense EVs and call it a day. So the rest of the team is meant to cover the basis of like an anti-meta. So I needed another sweeper in case Bramble went down, and especially in case of like Sucker Punch, King Gambit, or Ape, something else, I don't know. So Garchomp was my choice, because Garchomp in Tailwind is scary, and since I already have Murkrow, it's safe to spam Earthquakes without worrying about killing the Crow. Tailwind Garchomp also hard counters Armarouge and Ceruledge openers with Terra Ground Earthquakes, assuming you're smarter than me and actually put your speed tiers properly. I accidentally left my Garchomp at 142 speed to outspeed Armarouge, but you actually need it to be 151 to outspeed a +2 Ceruledge with weakness policy. Garchomp can also counter other dragons since I tend to put more speed into it compared to other Tailwind dragons, I'm sure, but it's not maxed out and it can definitely be outsped. But still, if you can get a Swords Dance off, Swords Dance Dragon Claw will pretty much take care of all the dragons. And besides Dragon Claw Earthquake, I do have a couple of different movesets I've been playing with Garchomp. Obviously Swords Dance, Snow Braider, but also like I said, I have Dragon Claw and then Rock Slide for flinches and to deal with birds. You can also run Protect to scout moves and Iron Head for the occasional Sylveon or Mimikyu, or random Fairy Terra. For the next member of the team, I actually needed a special attacker, and there's two mons I had on my radar, and that were Rotom Wash and Electros. Both have Levitate, so they're actually safe from Garchomp Earthquakes, they're reasonably bulky, and have a great move pool. I settled on Electros at first, just running Assault Vest with Discharge as a generic spread stab since it's not going to hurt Garchomp, and then threw on Giga Drain to deal with Gragnackle and Bozo safely. Flamethrower was specifically for Amoonguss and the other plethora of Steel-type Terras that are out there, and I wasn't sure to do it the last move slot. I mean, you can run Thunderbolt to have a single target lightning attack, but since we can't run status moves due to Assault Vest, I actually went with Acid Spray. I figured maybe there's some hard wall out there that could just get -2 special defense and I could whittle it down, but I didn't know what else to put. I put the EVs into special attack and some defense to give it some more bulk, but it also did increase some speed because 50 base speed is so bad that even with Tailwind, it's slow. So I bumped up to 83 speed, which is 166 in Tailwind, which outspeeds all of the base 100 speed or lower Pokemon with some investment. And then for another slot on my team, I figured I do need an Intimidate Pokemon just because, physical attackers are so prevalent. Even though Clear Amulet's around, there's still a lot of Fizz attackers. And you really only have two choices. You can either have Arcanine or Gyarados. And I decided to go with Arcanine just because it also has Will-O-Wisp, and that way I could burn attackers that ran Clear Amulet. As well as it has Snarl to weaken special attackers, and it can finish off Sashes with extreme speed. Arcanine is just like a really good utility mon, and still hits like a freight train with Flare Blitz. In the original run for this team, I ran a more offensive Arcanine here with the max attack EVs and speed to outspeed other physical attackers and get the Will-O-Wisp off, and then you just smash things with Flare Blitz. But I will change that around in the future. The last spot, I legit had no idea what I was going to put on my team, so I just threw on Annihilate as a Suicide Mon just in case there was something out there that I could not deal with. So it's a Suicide Ape setup with max HP and max speed and running Choice Scarf, so you could just Final Gambit murder something really fast. Plus, many people actually might not know if it's Bulk Up Ape if you don't lead with it, so it can mess people up. So if you don't lead with it and just swap it in when you get a chance, people are going to assume it's a Bulk Up, Annihilate, and then you can just Final Gambit kill something. So this is basically my VGC team for the ladder climb, although that again is subject to change for sure, because I know I'm going to end up moving some, EVs around, some items around, maybe a move or two, some Pokemon, but it's definitely going to be Murkrow, Garchomp, and Bramblegeist as my core three, because I'm building entirely around Bramblegeist. So sorry that there was not actually any gameplay or battling yet. I just wanted to get this one video out here just so people are aware of, what I'm going to be doing and my team and stuff. And then we'll do the whole climbing videos after that. So I'll continue with video updates as I progress, though I don't have all the time in the world to play, unfortunately. So it may take a while to climb through the ranks. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and thank you to my Patreon supporters. I greatly appreciate it. If anyone wants to get into competitive Pokemon, feel free to join the No Gods, No Kings Discord or my Discord. If y'all need Pokemon, hit me up on Discord or something. I've been giving out 6 heavy Dittos and VGC Mons all day, but that's going to be all for me. Thanks again. Peace.